Good things might be coming for David Price in October at some point. It might not be this October the way things are going. To get the temperature of what's going on with the Red Sox, let's bring in Dan Shaughnessy of the Boston Globe, who in today's column said Price is, quote, killing the Red Sox. Dan, how are people in New England reacting to this?
Well, I've stayed behind in Cleveland for Tom Brady's game tomorrow here, but not being there, I can pretty much tell you, it doesn't fly too well with the Sox fans. You know, when they signed him last year, it was like, oh, this is great, you know, $217 million, but the one thing is he's got a terrible postseason. And it was kind of the narrative right out of the jump. He's like, yeah, I've been saving them up for you guys and the whole thing. And here they are, and he had a chance to throw off that albatross, and it just went the other way. It was for him to be out of the game in the fourth inning of a playoff game was just really hard for folks to take. And you know, he's a nice guy, and I think he cares and works hard, and he just hasn't produced. But it's hard to fathom like why this keeps happening. I mean, 9 starts, 0-8 in the postseason.
Give it a shot, though. We know that he's a good regular season pitcher. What is your opinion as to why he can't match the performances of the regular season when the postseason rolls around?
I think it's between the ears. I think he's a little too cerebral for baseball, a little too thoughtful. You know, you always like those dumbass guys like Manny who just get up there and swing and hit, and it seems to work. And I think if you're thinking a lot, it's not a good thing in baseball, and I think it gets to him. And I think it's become, you know, kind of a psychological block or whatever you want to call it. I'm no armchair, you know, psychologist here, but he's too good to be this bad in October. So I don't know how else you account for it.
If the Red Sox lose this series to the Indians, is John Farrell going to be out as manager of the club?
I think if you're the manager, you don't want to get swept tomorrow. I think that's going to really fire up the train to drive him out of town. And, you know, he's had to overcome a lot anyway. And, you know, if John hadn't taken ill last year, he might not have made it through the season because I think there was a new management team in place, but they weren't going to, you know, fire the guy with cancer. And John got another shot and won the American League East, and that's great. But there's always been a lot of criticism, and he kind of brings it on. He's a real, you know, player enabler and kind of does the management speak, and he's clearly a company man who gets along with his owners and his bosses, and that's good, and his players like him too. But the in-game strategy is always, you know, open to question, like they all are. And in Boston, you're always, you know, it would be like being coach of the Maple Leafs. You know, you get a lot of people who really know what they're seeing, and they're hard on it.
Well, trying times at Fenway Park for Game 3. Dan, thanks so much for joining us.
I appreciate it. Take care.